Okay. So again, welcome to really a great timing for an opening of a garden in spring. As you can see, we've got some spring colors behind us cooperating. And as with anything, the Children's Learning Garden started with an idea and a vision. And we're fortunate to have the two individuals that are responsible for that vision, in Frank and Loretta Campagna, with us. And certainly, if any of you know Frank and Loretta, you know that when they have a vision and when they start down a path, the outcome is going to be a positive one. And their collaboration, along with the members of the Red Hook, Friends of the Red Hook Public Library, and what's taken place and what's happened over about a year, and the result is what you see behind me. So there are many people that were involved in this project, and I'd like to take a moment to just list them and mention their names, because without their contribution, this wouldn't have taken place. And part of the collaboration between the Friends Group and the trustees of the Red Hook Public Library and our director and staff is that the goal is to continue to improve the library over the years for the benefit of the community. The structure and the addition you see here is one that was opened, the children's room and the handicap access, about 3 years ago. That's given almost, over that course of time, doubled our circulation and our visits. And the garden in the front of this beautiful building, 1860 octagonal, and then the next step, the learning garden. And our long-range plan is working on the third floor to make that open for community access and meeting rooms. So sponsors of the garden, A.W. Kuhn & Sons, who did and volunteered all the site work, put a lot of time in removing trees, putting in drainage, and all donated, and we're certainly appreciative of that. Affordable Self-Storage of Rhinebeck, Mr. and Mrs. Raymond Armater, Bayrite Realty, Assemblyman Kevin Cahill, Frank and Loretta Campagna and family, Central Hudson Gas and Electric Corp., Jeff Crane, Teresa Doherty, the Griffin Agency, Lauren Kingman, Susan Romeyer, Red Hook Rotary, Stewart's, Ulster Savings Bank, Williams Lumber and Home Center, and our donors, Dr. and Mrs. Kenneth Appel, Andrea Butler and family, Margaret Doty, Lillian Freudenberger, Nancy Gusky, John Harisny, Kingston Oil Supply, Grace Ann Magley, Marshall and Sterling Insurance, Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, Karen Sipperly, and our community supporters, Patricia Bowman, Eleanor Feary, Peter and Carol Goss, Esther and Martin Higgins, Doctors George and Kathy Michael, Jennifer Outlam, Paula Schoonmaker, Rebecca Smith Aldridge, Grebe Electric, and last but far from least are a lot of our energy and muscle in part of the project, and that's Boy Scout Troop number 42. So with that, yes, we certainly appreciate all their efforts. And I'd also like to take a moment to mention and thank our elected officials who are here today. Bill O'Neill from the Red Hook Town Board, Brenda Cagle from the Town Board, Sue McCann, our Town Clerk, Judge Jonah Treebrasser, Brent Kowalczyk, our deputy mayor, and Jennifer Norris, our village trustee. We thank their ongoing support of the library. In addition, the Friends Board, Sandy Martin, the president, John Wittenberg, Pat Panisi, Irene Minnerly, and Carol Wagner, who were a very important part of this project, and it wouldn't have occurred without their support and assistance. And of course, our director, library director, Erica Freudenberger. So now I'd like to take a minute and the next person to speak, Susan Romeyer, who collaborated with, I believe it's Jeff Crane, on the mural, and Susan wanted to say a few words.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I want to thank especially the Campeñas from my point of view, because when I was working in the library, looking out the window at this blank wall, Loretta came in and said, you know, we need someone to paint it still. And I said, well, could I give you a sketch? And she said, yes. And when I gave her that sketch, she cried and said it had everything she wanted in it. And Loretta, this garden is something that you and Frank have dreamed up and put into our world, and we can't thank you enough. I also want to thank my co-painter, Jeff Crane, who made himself available. And we want the children to enjoy the garden. Thanks.
And on behalf of the Red Hook Chamber, I want to congratulate everyone who's been so involved with this project. This is a winner on so many different levels. A library is such an amazing community resource, and this one certainly lives up to every element of that. I wish I could say that I'm from Red Hook, but actually I'm from Kingston. And it should not be missed, I think, by anyone who drives down Broadway in Kingston, that during the late part of the 19th century, when Rondout and Kingston were coming together to become a city, that a decision was made to build 4 buildings in the center to create a hub. There's a hospital for health, there's a high school for education, the city hall is there for good government, and also the library that is there for learning. And it is in that library that I actually took out my very first book, and it was called The Red Car. And it's a stereotypical book of boy meets car, junk car, fixes it up, turns out to be a great car, wins a race. And this is a book that has just stuck with me all my life. And the car in the book was an early MGTC. It's actually about 10 years ago that I actually bought a red MGTC. And so, again, perhaps I will be called red sooner or later. After that, I got involved with sort of another story in another book about a 1903 Winton car, which is also red. And the fellow who owned it, Horatio Jackson, who was from Vermont, he goes off to California with his wife, and he takes on a $50 bet to drive across this nation. It had never been done before in 1903, and about, I think, 2 months later, about 60 days later, I think $8,000 later, and I think about 600 gallons of gasoline later, he rolls out of Chicago, eventually reaches Albany, crosses the river, and then heads south to his final destination in New York City. Soon he passes through Hudson, traveling on Route 9. He comes right here through Red Hook, down to Fishkill, through the Highlands, and he finally does reach New York City. He completes the very first transcontinental automobile trip, and he arrives in New York City at 4:30 in the morning. Nobody's even there to greet him. So, as I mentioned, years later, I got to own that red car, and it really is probably all because of what started, at least for me, in a library. This library at Red Hook has a very strong literary legacy. And I just thought I'd touch on a few of those high points, I think, at least as I see them. Here in Red Hook, certainly, we had the home of William B. Astor, the founder of the New York Public Library. We also had Thomas Barton, our country's very first serious collector of Shakespeare. By the way, his father was Dr. Benjamin Barton, who wrote the first book on North American botany. And while his father never came here, all of his papers certainly did. And they eventually leave this area to go become part of a very important library, a horticultural library in Washington, D.C. Our shores have inspired the very young Washington Irving to write the opening passage of Rip Van Winkle, where he talks about the magic of the Catskills. And let's not forget Saul Bellow and, of course, Gore Vidal, too. As I mentioned, I owned the little MG, but I never got to own a little Winton car. And if you've ever seen one, they jiggle, and they've got shiny brass and lots of wonderful pinstriping. And you can't help but smile when you see one. And while I haven't had the pleasure of owning one, Frank and Loretta, I think, for me, palling around with you is like owning one. Whenever I see you, I can't help but smile. I'm not really sure I even pay attention to what the project is. I'm just afraid of being left out. So count on me wherever you go next time, and I can't help but wait until there is a next time. Finally, I'd like to again just say congratulations to everyone who's involved with this project. It is such a winner, and enjoy it, and I can't wait to see some of the young people who come through it and just what they might turn into, just as I've ended up eventually owning that little red car. Thank you.
Hey Ray, it reminded me, ideas live here in this building, and that's really important. But here we are on Apple Blossom Day, and I'd just like to thank everybody for what they did here with the library, this project. We had a rough winter, but now we have spring, and we have a new children's garden, which is a great new thing for the village. And we're so happy that this library decided to stay in the village, live in the village, and we'll do everything we can to help you. Thanks to the board, the energetic board, and the Campagnas. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor Blundell. And Mickey Struwinski, Dutchess County legislator, is here with us. And I just want to thank both Mayor Blundell and County Legislator Mickey Struwinski. As any of you who attend these events anywhere in the town, the village, they're typically going to be there. In the case of Ed, it'll usually be a village, but oftentimes a town event. And they're out there, they do a great job. As we all know, a lot of this is volunteering their time. This isn't anything you're going to get rich at, but they're really dedicated to the community, and we certainly appreciate that.
I thought I was taller than you, Ed. I'm really pleased to be here, to be invited as part of the festivities for the surrounding of the opening of this wonderful children's garden. We have so much to be thankful for in Red Hook, and our extraordinary public library and its staff and volunteers, the Friends of the Red Hook Public Library, are at the heart of what we benefit from in our community. This garden will serve our children in so many wonderful ways. Studies have shown that when children are introduced to gardening at an early age, they improve social skills and behavior, improve environmental attitudes, especially when it's in younger students, instill an appreciation and a respect for nature that will last into adulthood, improve life skills, working with groups and self-understanding, contribute to communication of knowledge and emotions while developing skills that will help them be more successful in school, and will have a positive impact on student achievements and behavior. And children who are parts of special populations have benefited greatly from gardening. From the website childrensgarden.org, benefits of gardening with children diagnosed with autism include the facts that gardens engage the senses without being overstimulating. Children can explore different colors, textures, smells, and sounds in a calming, natural setting. Gardening provides opportunities for children to hone gross and fine motor skills. Gardening allows for repetitive activities, yet still offers some challenge by providing constant change. You can establish a comforting routine, gathering needed tools, checking on the plants, pulling up a few weeds, and watering. But there will be subtle changes to engage the curiosity of a child with each visit, as ripening tomatoes, new insects to observe, flowers are budding and opening, and leaves are changing colors. Gardening is an activity that can be shared. There are many opportunities for social interactions and teamwork. And I know that the Campagnas had that in mind when they envisioned this garden. So as we look forward to this garden blooming, we also look forward to our children blossoming as well. Once again, I want to thank all who contributed to this project, and and I'm happy to see the children play in it today. Thank you.
Ray mentioned growing up in Kingston, as did I, and we were very fortunate that Ray's father was very active in politics and civic affairs in the community. When I was growing up, and set a very high standard for folks. I think it's a standard that I've been striving for ever since. But we also had some other friends in Kingston. We had a little store on Broadway called Copyland, and it was a great little store. It was a place you could go in and you could use a Xerox machine. In the 1960s, that was a big deal, because if you didn't go there, guess where you had to go? You had to go to the library. And if you went to the library, you had to put a nickel in for the first copy. That would come out a negative. And then you had to put the negative on the plate and again, and then you would make a second copy for a dime now, and you could get a regular copy of it. And it was on paper that faded quickly. Copyland brought quality copying to Kingston. And they also brought other stuff. They brought the lights on Broadway at the holiday time, the beautiful lights that when you drive up and down this big, long main street, about 2 miles long, for a significant chunk of it, there were big lights on Broadway. And what the heck do you care about Copyland and copies in Kingston, growing up in Kingston for here? That's because Copyland was owned by Frank and Loretta, and Frank and Loretta were primarily responsible, if not exclusively responsible, for putting those lights up and brightening the Christmas and the holiday season on that side of the river. We miss them greatly, although their business is still there. Not on Broadway anymore. Now it's back on Tenbrook Avenue, and it's much bigger, much different. I don't know if people can walk in and get a nickel copy anymore. No, Loretta says no, but that's okay. We can do it at home now. If I could just, before I offer a little acknowledgement for our good friends, just talk a little bit about the library. On May 20th, this community will be asked to vote for some changes in the way the library is funded. You know that more than 5 times more visits occur here than occurred here 5 years ago. There's more than 5 times the people coming through that door, checking out a book, looking at a video, using the computer, maybe making a photocopy, doing all the things that a library does, coming to a meeting, participating in one of the over 3 dozen programs that come out of this library, this community center. This has become, if not the vital center of the village and the town, certainly a vital center of the village and the town. And on May 20th, the voters are going to be asked to give 3 cents more a day. 3 cents a day. That's not much. That's really not much at all. That's a lot less than the cable company is asking for, a lot less than the utility is asking for, a lot less than the gas station on the corner is asking for. It's not much to have this incredibly vital institution here. All the good work of people who build gardens like this, and to go inside and look at all the wonderful decorations that Frank made and all the other good improvements that have existed here because of the great volunteers that have participated are important. But sustaining this very organization and this institution is even more important. It's more important that the whole community have the opportunity to participate. And let me tell you something about elections, something I know a little tiny bit about. If we're lucky in a general election when we have a presidential contest, we might get about 50% of the people who are eligible to vote out to vote. If we have a primary, we might get about 10% of the eligible voters out to vote. School board elections, between 5 and 10%. Library elections, you're going to be shocked to hear this, those of you standing here in this parking lot today control that vote. There are enough of you here to make a difference. If you just call 1 or 2 people and ask them to make sure they participate in that vote, we can be assured of a solid future for the Red Hook Library, and we really need it. This is a fantastic institution. Right now, what we're here to celebrate is the focus and the dedication on children. I brought my own granddaughter here, a 3rd-generation local library user, with my daughter Katie, who has been a regular patron of the Red Hook Library, not the least of which because Erica is one of her best friends, but also because Katie is a libraryophile. She is known throughout the communities that she lives in and works in and participates in as somebody who is a regular person in the library. She's learned the value, and she's taught her dad the value of libraries. We need you. We need this institution, and we need to culture the next generation of young people to understand the value of this very, very important institution. We know you do. You're here. We know you do because you've volunteered, you've participated, you've supported, and now it's time to make sure each and every one of our neighbors know the same thing. 2 people who have been instrumental in raising the profile of this library at every level, from beautiful flowers out front to this imagined garden that Loretta walked me through when it was a little more than a mud puddle last year. And Frank was told what to do, as anybody with Loretta knows that's what she does best, is tell people what to do. And Frank, go show Kevin what the wall is going to look like. Frank, go show Kevin. Am I lying about this, Loretta, or is this absolutely the truth? Yeah. So we saw this last year. It wasn't here, but through the imagination of these two wonderful people and the inspiration that they provided and all the hard work that all of you volunteers provided, it's a reality today. And if I could just take a moment to ask them both to come up and give them a little acknowledgement, I'd like to do that. These certificates say essentially the same thing. There's two words, one word that is different on each one. One says Frank and the other says Loretta. But they both say in honor of your commitment and contribution to the Red Hook Public Library's Children's Learning Garden. And if I were able to fit more on there, it would say, and much, much more that you do for the Red Hook community. Frank, thank you so much. Loretta, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Cahill. We certainly appreciate your support. And now I'd like to introduce the chairman of the Children's Learning Garden Committee, and I should say co-chair, because as we both know, everything is a team when it comes to Frank and Loretta. And I'd like to thank Frank and also just really thank them both for, if you walk into the children's area here, you'll see their impact on what they've done, and they put their heart and love into this, and it's very obvious when you view it. So I'd like to invite Frank to say a few words and thank him very much for his efforts.
A hard act to follow, I guess. People just saying so many nice things about the library. I have a composed thing I was going to say, but I'd be best if I just speak from the heart. I started this whole library idea with my wife over breakfast. We said we should really have a children's library. She's a master gardener, and I'm the lackey. So it was a good combination. And we decided that why don't we put something together and present it to the Friends of the Red Hook Public Library. And we did do that. And they embraced it. In fact, they embraced it so much that they provided us with seed money of $2,000. I estimated at the time the program would run somewhere around $17,000. I was a little bit off. In fact, the president of our organization said, Frank, you're being a little bit too conservative. And she was right. It came out to a little bit over $20,000. And that's with actual financial support and the support of so many good, nice people in this community, which were mentioned earlier as our sponsors. And those kind of people, I blessed them because they were the hardworking people who actually made sure that the things were done right. And obviously, this is the end product. I'm just so proud of the fact that this community as a whole just reacted that way. Wherever I went, wherever I spoke to, it just came out just loud and clear. What is it for? The children? We're there for you. It's for the library? We're there for you. I did not get one no from anyone. And so, from a person that had decided that it was going to take about a year's program to put enough dollars together, it turned out it was a wink of an eye. Within weeks, literally, I had enough dollars that we could start running the program. And it just made me feel that, gee, I'm so proud to be part of this community. And I have to say that we're fortunate in this community because people not only give their dollars, but they give their passionate love. And you could see it by the things that have been done in this community, and especially now here in our library. And all I can say at this point is I have to thank each and every one of you. And although my name and my wife's name has been mentioned throughout this event, you have to remember there are a lot of people behind the scenes that did a lot of support work. The Friends were very supportive with their financial dollars, with their keeping us in check with dollars that are being spent, the legalities of the program, the publicity that we got to promote it. So there are a lot of the people we have to share these accolades with. And certainly the board has been very, very supportive. The trustees have been more than helpful. And that is unusual, by the way. From what I'm hearing, I was recently at a conference where they talked about the relationship between Friends and the boards and the trustees. And there always seems to be this little bit of this animosity. We don't seem to have that. And what we do need, though, are more volunteers to help us with so many things that we have to do, not only just down the road a short ways, but for long range. And so I thank this community, and I'm so proud. And all I can say is enjoy the day and enjoy our garden.
Okay, I guess we're going to do the song first. Loretta tells me we're doing the song, we're doing the song. Okay. Roger, if you would like to prepare. So, just as a final testament to all the effort that's gone into this and a celebration of that effort, one of the library employees, Roger Cohn, has written a song, music and lyrics, which he's going to perform for you momentarily. And he's accompanied by Kristen Romeyer and Lenny Sutton. And at the conclusion of the song, then we'll have the official gate opening. That's our form of ribbon cutting. So,
as Barry said, I wrote a song. Now, I am a library assistant here at the Red Hook Public Library. In my other capacity, I am a songwriter. And while Susan and Jeff were painting the mural, I would come in and sort of tease Susan that maybe it's a good thing if I wrote a song about it. And as time went on, I thought, well, maybe it is a good thing to write a song about it. So I did.
Just a few feet tall. Ooh, what a wonderful wall. Animals gathered from all around to this particular place in town. Critters on view, both big and small. Oh, on our wonderful wall. Susan and Jeff spend many a day transforming a blank slate in a beautiful way. Rainbow colors, bright and bold, they use them all here, so I'm told, painting a scene for one and all. Oh, what a beautiful wall. Those raccoon eyes will follow you no matter where you go, no matter what you do. Gazing on down from that old tree, keeping an eye on you and me. Winter and spring and summer and fall. Oh, at a wonderful wall. Just feel the breeze off the river. Watch that wall. Wilbur and Charlotte in their rightful spot, while the bullfrog's broken away with everything he's got. Garden mural of pure delight, every day and every night beckons those who will heed the call to a wonderful wall. Garden wall, yeah, 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 a beautiful wall.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day, folks. Check out all the animals.
Thank you very much, Roger. Now I'd like to direct your attention over to the entry gate, where Acting President of the Friends of the Red Hook Public Library, John Wittenberg, will welcome in Frank and Loretta. And kids, you're up next. Thank you all very much for attending, and please enjoy the garden.
We don't charge extra. Even though we tried yelling at you.